we're at the World Championships Freestyle in Plattling, and with me I do have Eric Jackson. Eric, you're already competing for 27 years, and one of the things that obviously will make me curious is, how do you stay motivated?
That's a good question. I know this will sound a little weird, but it's like, how do you stay motivated to have sex? You know, it's like, if it's one of your favorite things to do, then you don't lose motivation on it. You know, people lose motivation simply if they're doing something for an end game, and they're like, I'm trying to achieve this goal and I'm sacrificing for the goal. My paddling every day is my favorite thing to do, whether it's training or playing. So preparing for competition for me is fun and games. That's what I want to do. So there's no sacrifice there. So as long as I'm having fun out there, I'll be doing it forever.
Yeah. And can you explain me, what are the differences between paddling 27 years ago in terms of technique, motivation, people's attitude, or
Sure.
and now?
It's quite a bit different. You know, back in the old days, if you want to call it that, there wasn't a lot of communication between paddlers. There was a lot of small pods. You know, there was people from New Hampshire and people from England and Germany or whatever, but they didn't intermingle very much or very often. So you could be the big fish in a little pond very quickly. And it was all just showing off. It was just like, hey, look what I can do. So there wasn't the technique. There wasn't a lot of technique and a lot of moves. It was really just a showing off, 1 to 10 scoring system. So being a goofball really helped too, kind of thing. And then as the sport evolved and equipment evolved, it became much more difficult. Like, difficult meaning there's more things to learn. You actually had to try to learn new stuff in practice. So more athletic people became better in the sport. So if you're good at learning and athletics and you enjoyed that process, those people started excelling even more. I was just lucky that I always enjoyed that part of it too. So I was able to carry along with the sport. So today, when you look, there's just a whole wide breadth of moves and techniques that are required, whether it's on a wave or a hole or a big wave or a little wave or a big hole, little hole, requires a big knowledge base to make it work year after year. So the people now are just generally better, I think, than they used to be.
Yeah. With so much experience as you have, would it be possible to say something about how the sport will evolve in 10 years? What are we going to see in 2021, for example?
That's a really good question. What we're seeing now, we're seeing a lot of the juniors are getting better really fast, like my son Dane, for example, and Jason Craig, and there's a lot of the juniors you're seeing out here are better than the men were 3, 4, 5 years ago. So and they're being brought up in the sport at a time when you really have to learn a lot fast to be good at the sport. So I really anticipate that in the next 10 years you're going to see people just with very technical proficiency, but also explosive energy. I just expect to see the moves bigger, better, faster, new moves, and pushing the envelope on the fringes as well, on big waves, or just all aspects of the sport. I think will be quite a bit ahead of where it is today.
Hey, so these bigger moves, more spectacular, and so on. Yep. In 2021, still by you?
Definitely, I'm trying to stay. I'm on the wave right now, and trying to keep surfing the wave all the way in. So all the way till it crashes on the rocks, whenever that is. So.
Okay, hey, but yeah, on a more serious note, I guess. At this event, you're definitely gonna go for your 5th world title.
Yeah.
That obviously will be a challenge, as for everyone.
Yep.
Already some things you would like to share with us, or secrets?
About what I'm doing? Well, you know, this is my 2nd time going for my 5th title. Last time I went for it, but I got the silver medal. My son-in-law beat me. So it's entirely possible that I can be going for my 5th title and not get it, as you're well aware, and a lot of people are aware. Yeah, for me, I've got my routine. You know, my routine right now is, if the water level is similar to this, is going to be an entry move. I'm going to go through a huge, clean air loop and a Space Godzilla split phonics both ways, a couple Felixes, a couple McNasties, a couple phonics monkeys, back Pan Am. Try to squeeze it all in 45 seconds. I do that, I'll win the World Championships. Now, of course, that's a lot of moves really fast, so it requires that I execute, you know, when the time happens. So there's a lot of steps between now and then. We got prelims. That's usually not too difficult to get through. Quarterfinals, it starts getting hard. Semifinals is always the toughest cut. 10 people, all that could medal, cut to 5. That's always scary and hard. But you make it through to there, you got 3 rides, best one counts, so there's no holding back. So I think with 3 rides I can do it.
Yeah. If you see these young guys, like for example your own son, 17 years old, these other young guys, 18, 19, 20,
Sure.
You're being 47, does that intimidate you? Like, oh, look what they do and what they can, and or does it make you feel confident? How does it feel, you know, younger generation versus, you know, older generation?
Oh, that's a really good question. You know, I'm hoping it intimidates them that I'm 47 years old and they can't keep up with me is the ideal. I stay fit and I paddle as hard and long as those guys do, and been doing it a long time. So what I have that they don't have is years and years of experience. I've been at all these world championships for a long time. So for a lot of them, you know, they're on their way up. They really haven't. Nobody's really achieved some of their major goals they want. So they're a little bit nervous or whatever. And I come into it if I know if I were to get 20th place. Hey, it's not the end of the world. I'll be in 2 years. I'll be in North Carolina on the Nantahala River doing the same thing, and in the next 2 years, it'll be just totally fine with me. You know, where a lot of the young kids treat it a little bit like life or death. You know, this is have to do it today because you know who knows what's happening. They're too young to know better, so I think they get a little more nervous than I do.
Okay. Over the years, we've seen that the women are evolving. Maybe they used to be quite far in terms of performance from the men. Now we do see that their scores are actually pretty close to what the men can achieve. What do you think about that, and what do you see in the field?
No question. I remember multiple world championships where the women all wanted to get together and start their own scoring system because there's no way a woman can do what the men are doing. They're not strong enough, and blah, blah, blah is what they were saying. But luckily a few pioneering women have come in and said, oh, whatever, and really trained and gone out there and worked hard like a lot of the guys are doing, and the results are clear. The women are catching up quick. So really what you're seeing is the women are learning all the same stuff. So like my daughter, for example, Emily, who won the prelims today with over 1,000 points for her prelims combined rides, we'll go to a training spot and she'll do some of the harder moves better than I'm doing it, and I have to watch her and see how she's doing it to get mine up to snuff with hers, for example. That never used to happen, and it's not just Emily. It goes really deep. So the depth of field in the women's class is getting really strong, and no longer. And also the equipment has improved. It used to be that these freestyle kayaks would come in one size, so they would basically be my size, for example. So a woman would be handicapped because the size of the boat was too big, and they couldn't throw it around. Now the boats are getting, there's a boat for every size, so there's boats way too small for every woman here, for example, the kids' boats that are all top-end freestyle kayaks. So basically the women aren't handicapped with equipment anymore, and their attitudes are such that, hey, we can do this, and the talent pool is really strong, and the people are training hard, so really it's awesome to see.
Okay, and now the last question, and this one is actually for our younger viewers.
Okay.
Eric, I'm sure there are lots of young paddlers, 10, 11 years old, all over the world, boys, girls, and they want to become as good as you are, as good as, well, who's competing here at the Worlds. What advice would you give these boys and girls to, well, become a good athlete?
That's a great question. Step one is that if we're talking about being a kayaker, especially like a freestyle kayaker, the beauty is really all we're doing here is showing off how much we're playing. So just find a way to get to the water as much as possible is number one. Number two, find people that are better than you to paddle with. And if you're young and starting, it's usually pretty easy. And then the more you paddle, you'll meet more and more people. Eventually you might look around and realize that you can't find anybody better than you to paddle with at the moment, which that's always a good sign. But really the most important thing is that you're out there to have fun. Don't ruin a great sport by taking it too serious, and what I mean by that is you're not going to train just so that one day you could make your national team, for example. You're going to go have fun and play on the water and try to learn as much as possible, because every time you learn something it's really fun. Like, oh man, I just got my first cartwheel or spin on a wave or a loop or something, and you're going to be fired up for that. And the end result of that is that you'll be a great paddler, and then you'll learn to compete and be able to maybe make your national team and come to a World Championships one day.
Okay, well Eric, thank you very much. That was great advice. Eric, thank you very much for your time, and I wish you good luck tomorrow.
Oh, thank you very much, Rob. Appreciate it. Sorry about the younger paddlers. We can re-ask that.